Tommy Jagai of Still Curtain here. I'm here with Merril Hoge. The biggest football game of the year is here, and if you're gearing up for the ultimate watch party, you're in for a treat. We've got Merril Hoge with us today, and he's here for making it with tips to make your celebration great. Tell us about your setting. What do you got going on back here?
Well, we got 4 items for you to help you with the big game. Being able to watch it is obviously premium. You got to be able to watch it. So we got an LG OLED Evo G4 Super Bowl in your living room. It's got 8.3 million self-lit pixels, luminous colors, powered by Brightness Boost Max technology. It's available in a 55-inch and a 97-inch, and in the studio here we have a 65-inch. So beautiful television, and then Dolby Atmos sound, so great sound for a great Super Bowl experience. Ultimate snack options for the big game. Farm Rich, #1 best-selling mozzarella stick, jalapeno peppers, spinach, artichoke dip bites, and more. Football fans can visit farmrich.com to score deals on frozen snacks. And if either team has a pick six, Farm Rich fans will have a chance to win their own pick six box with 6 free product coupons in this box here with limited edition of merchandise. Visit at Farm Rich Snacks for details. And everybody needs to have some drinks, so Pinter is an innovative all-in-one brew and draft machine. It's the first in the world to craft 12 pints of freshly made beer or cider at home in 7 days. Mix ingredients right here with water, leave to brew, refrigerate, and enjoy. Only $49 at pinter.com /game, and get 2 free pint packs, a free tasting glass, and free shipping when you subscribe. So do that today. And lastly, easy to use Cricut Joy Extra. It made this shirt right here. I could probably end there, but 50 plus materials, vinyl, cardstock, iron-ons. It's only 12 inches as well, so it doesn't take up a bunch of space. Cricut Joy Extra prepares your game with crafting customized team logos, so it doesn't matter who you're for. You can select that, players' names, decals, the koozies, and banners. I mean, it does a whole lot. So you put this all together, you are the MVP of the big game, and hosting this and having a spectacular day on the big game.
Well, Merril, let's party at your house, I guess, for the big game because you're all
I've been asked
set up.
that before.
Let's talk about the state of the Steelers for a minute,
Okay.
if we could here.
Sure.
This team lost 5 games in a row down the stretch, including the playoffs, averaged 14 points a game over that time. What did they have to do to get back on track to being an actual competitor again?
Yeah, well, Tommy, they actually, if you go back to when all the games that they won and how they started the year off, this is what I tell people all the time. And when we talk about the Super Bowl, I'll say the same thing. There's really 2 components to winning consistently in the NFL because it is such an evenly matched league from players and coaches aspect. Is teams that can control the tempo and don't turn the ball over have a extremely high percentage chance to win consistently. That doesn't mean it's going to be happening every Sunday, but consistently. And the best way to do that is running the football and stopping it. That's why you talk to people and hear them say that. But it's the teams that really do it. I mean, think about all the teams in the playoff. I mean, look at Philadelphia. 2 years ago, they did that really well. The next year, they didn't. This year, they did, and where they're back to the Super Bowl. The Steelers did that early in the year. Baltimore does it every year. Philadelphia, obviously, I just mentioned them. Detroit, that's how they built their organization to where it stands today. Buffalo has added more running game to it. Kansas City has even added more. So you got to have that aspect of your team. And they kind of eroded in all of those areas. Russell Wilson takes a lot of heat. He did not play well. I'm not excusing it, but there's a lot of components to the team that didn't play like they did the first part of the season. So those all things have to get better. It's not one particular area. All those areas will have to get better for the Steelers to improve on where they ended up, unfortunately, finishing.
Yeah, and Merril, you mentioned the run game specifically. Obviously, you know a lot about rushing attacks from your days with the Steelers. Najee Harris is a free agent. Jaylen Warren is a free agent. The Steelers were the least efficient team on first downs in the NFL this year. They were one of the least effective at rushing the football in general. How do they fix the running game specifically?
Well, their offensive line, I think that Troy Fautanu, the first-round draft pick, who hurt his knee, his presence, watching him in the preseason and the limited time he got, he just looks like a guy who transitions to the NFL. With his feet, hips, and hands, and fundamentally, he just looks so good. I think that, getting him back is going to help. You got a chance to get some guys in the draft, but getting your offensive line's got to play better consistently. I'll go back to what I said in the very beginning. In the Super Bowl, I'm going to watch offensive and defensive line play. Whoever plays the best there is going to win this game, okay? Then that's just the fact. Unless something nutty happens where there's a bunch of massive turnovers, which I just wouldn't expect, but that's going to win this game. The team that does that the very best. So that has to get better for them, and it starts there. Where you go with your running backs is going to matter. Trying to get more guys in on the team that can help you contribute in the running game with different ways, throwing the football strong side, weak side on the perimeter, and having different phases to your team helps you in the running game as well. So I think that'll be a priority. They do a better job there. That'll help permeate into their passing game and carries over to the defensive side of the ball too.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've got a young offensive line. I think some of those guys can take that next leap forward in 2025. I want to talk about, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to Art Rooney too, kind of had a one-on-one sit down with Rob King. And essentially the Steelers, it doesn't sound like they're making any major coaching changes. And now that we've seen kind of things play out the same way that it has like the last 8 years, Merril, in terms of just no playoff success, is it time for coaching changes in Pittsburgh, or how long would you give them before you make a change?
Well, let's go back to if it was the coaches that were the problem, I'd be the first one to say, you got to change coaches. Now, when you're going to change coaches, okay, who are you going to get? Who doesn't? And you're going to start over. If you look at their history, they've had 3 coaches for roughly 60 years, won 6 Super Bowls in the process. It's not a bad rate. Okay, it's not a bad success rate. And the one thing they have always believed in is if you have the good. See, Mike Tomlin, even though he's in his 15th or 16th year, whatever it is, even from a leader's perspective, he can get better. If it was just Mike Tomlin, of course, I'd say, of course, that's what you got to do. But it's not just Mike Tomlin. I just mentioned a few things just on the offensive side that could get better. We didn't even talk on the defensive side, which there are areas there that can get better. And coaching, I'm not saying that the coaching can't get better. It'll get better. But if you feel like you have the right people, and keep in mind, you had a new offense coordinator come in, and the last thing that you want to start doing is you keep making changes and starting over, because you just cannot win. It's hard to be consistent doing that. I think you can find lightning in a bottle occasionally, like Washington Commanders did. Okay. But it just doesn't happen every day. And if you feel like, okay, we made some mistakes, we can correct those mistakes. And that's what you feel like. And I think Art, that's what he feels like. And that's what he sees. And I think he always has great perspective, because he doesn't react to things, he responds. And when you do that, you make better decisions, because you look at globally and with a perspective to, if we got better here, can my guy in that area get better? I believe he can, and that's how he believes. And then you build going forward. And I don't argue that at all. I understand what the 8 years have done, but I also understand where they are now and what can get better and how you can fix that internally. And there's a lot of stuff internally that they can fix.
Yeah, I agree. Merril, you look ahead at this Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is in it again. We just saw Josh Allen was in the championship game. Jalen Hurts is a $50 million quarterback. Like, it is a quarterback-driven league. Russell Wilson had his moments this season, but it was as a 36-year-old on a veteran minimum contract. And now you have to look ahead and say, do we sign this guy at 37, 38 years old and give him substantially more money? Like, how does this team find a long-term fix at the quarterback position?
Well, I think the first thing is you just don't narrow your vision to the 2 guys that we had. Those are part of the equation. Look at outside the arena, other backups, other guys who, have great experience, have had great success. That's why you look at the draft, you look at all of the Senior Bowl, do all of the processing of all the guys available. Who's available there. So the scope has to be widened. And when you do that, then I think you give yourself more options. And in the position that they are in from a salary cap perspective, I think they have a little more flexibility to bring more options in to help you find the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Merril, one more for you right here. If you give me your Super Bowl prediction. Eagles versus Chiefs. Who do you think is going to come out on top on this one?
You know what? Let's say it's a clean game. That means there's no turnovers. The one team that probably has the best offensive defensive line and can control the tempo of the game with Saquon Barkley is Philly. I'd give them a slight advantage if they can do that and there's no turnovers. And that's a big ask because the last time they played, Philly made one mistake, had a turnover, and they didn't win the game. So, but they got a shot if they do that.
All right. Former Steelers fullback Merril Hoge. Thanks, Merril. We appreciate it.
You got it, buddy.